Do your legs feel heavy during your runs? Can't get faster no matter how much running you do? Or are you a runner who's been stuck in the injury cycle and you would finally like to learn how to start strength training? Do you want to know what the best strength exercises for running are? I'm going to share with you my top 7 strength training exercises for stronger, faster, and injury-free running. And the best part about this is you can do this full workout routine in less than 25 minutes. In this episode, I'll explain why this series of must-try exercises will greatly improve your running form and allow those mental clearing miles to feel easier than ever. Having proper strength is critical and crucial for runners as it allows for a more efficient stride. It reduces the risk of injuries and enhances overall performance. These 7 exercises will specifically target your run-specific muscles and allow you to stay healthy, enjoying lifelong injury-free running for many years to come. If learning an efficient strength routine for runners so you can run pain-free is what you're looking for, then you've come to the right place. Stick around to take your running potential to the next level while staying healthy along the way. Let's learn about the 7 essential strength training exercises for runners, or as I like to call it, my Spark 7. I'm Dr. Duane Scotti, running physical therapist, run coach, and host of the Healthy Runner podcast, and founder of Spark Healthy Runner. And my mission is to preserve the health and longevity of runners everywhere by allowing them to get stronger, run faster, and enjoy lifelong injury-free running. Now, I have a freebie download for you that accompanies this training. So you might be listening to the audio or video version of this, and you really want like the one strength workout that every runner needs in their life. And we will discuss who it is for and when you should do this strength routine. But there's no need to take some like notes or anything like that because I have the full 25-minute workout recorded for you as a follow-along instructional video with me guiding you through it, taking you through the proper form for each of the exercises. All you need to do is click the Strong Glute Guide download link that I have for you in the show notes to get the full workout video, save it, and then perform it whenever you need it. So for context, there are 6 steps to growing as a runner. And this workout routine that we're going to talk about really belongs in that strength bucket. So if you've been listening to the podcast or the YouTube channel for a while, you know that we help you grow in your running journey with our Spark Healthy Runner 6-step plan. Personally, I know how hard it is to grow in your running journey. Heck, it took me like 12 years to come up with this 6-step framework, but there are 6 parts of your running journey that need to be optimized so you can run strong and be able to last long. What are those parts? Mindset, strength training, run plan, nutrition, recovery, and race strategy. And when you execute these 6 key parts of your running journey, you'll not only feel more confident to get stronger and faster, you'll stay healthy and enjoy the process of running again and crush some races along the way. So why did I create this strength routine for runners? 9 out of 10 runners listening to this right now, at some point will get injured. And one of the most common reasons that runners get injured during their hard training cycles is not consistently implementing a proper strength training exercise routine for running that allows their body to withstand the demands of hard running. And there are simple strategies to be able to implement into your weekly training so you can tolerate the demands of half marathon training or marathon training, or if you're just looking to get out the door for mental clearing miles 3 to 4 times a week. And I really wanted to create an efficient plan that you can do in less than 25 minutes because I hear it all the time from the athletes that we work with, right? You don't have time. Everyone's so busy. Running takes a lot of time out of your day, and you have work, you have family, you have other responsibilities. You don't have an hour, hour and a half in order to do like a long, rigorous strength training routine. So I created this plan being most efficient and really focusing on what are the most important muscles that we want to activate as runners to be able to protect our body. And that's what this routine will do. It's going to teach your body how to activate these specific muscles. So as a running physical therapist for over 20 years now, these are really the go-to exercises that I've learned along the way through my personal running journey, as well as all the athletes that I've helped either rehab running specific injuries or as a preventative to keep them healthy so they don't get injured, so we can train hard and meet those running goals of ours. So these muscles will actually focus on activation and stabilization, because we need to actually turn these muscles on first before we can actually rebuild and strengthen with future exercise progressions. So this is the starting point. And although these exercises, as we talk about them, and as you go and actually save the instructional 25-minute workout video, you might say like, oh, these aren't like the most fun exercises. There is a method to the madness. And I realize that they are not the most fun exercises, and they're not exercises that I'm like, I am so pumped to go into the gym and actually do this routine. However, I will tell you, they are the most effective when we're really starting to get awareness of what our bodies need to protect itself from muscle imbalances that have either been there for so long because you haven't been strength training, or you've had an injury in the past, and as you've gotten healthy, your body's compensated, and now we have a muscle imbalance that is underlying, which is limiting you from being able to run faster, run longer, or stay healthy, right? So we need to like reset the system, and we need to actually restore our body back to being able to tolerate running again. And that is the goal of these, because we need to activate before we actually add load, increase resistance, and with future strengthening exercises. So I am a big fan. If you're watching this now and you're like, well, I thought I should just lift heavy, whether it's for hormonal reasons, whether it's to build muscle mass, because it's different than what you're doing is running. All those are true. I'm not saying they're not true. However, we need to start, and this is the starting point. So we need to restore first. We're going to prime the nervous system. And then the next step is strengthen. And then the next step is movement training. So that is actually the 3-step process in how we get stronger as runners. So many of you listening to this right now, you might be saying, yeah, Duane, well, you know what? I do boot camp style class. I go to my gym. I do it twice a week. So I do my strength training. Or, you know what? I do CrossFit 3 times a week. We do our WOD, our workout of the day, right? And I'm doing some, deadlifts. I'm doing some squats, and I'm doing like, that's enough strength training because it's different than what I'm doing as a runner. I agree with that. I'm not saying that's not true. Or I do this HIIT style workout, or I do the standard gym, right, circuit. So say, you hop on each machine as you go down the line in the gym where you're doing leg extensions, you're doing like leg curls, and then you're going to go over to the leg press, right? You're doing all those and you're like, I'm doing strength training. I'm not saying you're not. Okay. So let's just get that off the bat right there. However, most of you, in order to tolerate the demands of running, are not strong on one leg. And when we're running, we're always on one leg, right? We're never on 2 legs, because then we'd be walking. So we're runners. So we need to actually strength train specific muscles that's going to improve our stability on one leg, so that decreases the stress to our bodies of all the common running related injuries that unfortunately runners get, right? 9 out of 10 of you are going to get runner's knee. You're going to get IT band pain, plantar fasciitis, Achilles pain, posterior tibial tendinopathy, hamstring tendon pain, right? Like all of those are the result of muscle imbalances. Those are the root causes of why those developed in the first place. So this strength routine is going to really teach your body how to activate these muscles. All right. And it's not going to be where we end. So I would never want you to do this strength routine 2 to 3 times a week for the rest of your life. No, that's not what I'm saying. All right. So hopefully that clarified why I did create this, because we want a nice, efficient routine that we can do. We want a routine that is going to be a nice starting point. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit later, like when you can actually implement this routine into your workouts. So let's get into this now. I want to really talk about what are the best exercises for runners. So what are these 7 exercises? Number 1 is going to be the fire hydrant glute exercise. It all starts with the butt, guys, right? Like as Shakira said, the hips don't lie. So this is going to be the starting point, and this is the single best exercise to activate the glute max. So the glute max has been said to be the quote unquote running muscle. And you might have heard about glute amnesia, dead butt syndrome, which is like a chronic disuse creating difficulty contracting the muscle. You might say to yourself, like, I'm a runner, I've been a long time runner, like, I got no butt back there, right? I got like a flat butt. This is something that I find very common in those that have specific injuries, whether it's the hip, low back pain, or proximal hamstring tendinopathy, upper hamstring tendon pain. And from an evolutionary standpoint, if we think about this, the glute max muscle was thought to be a muscle that evolved for bipedal locomotion for our survival, so we can actually run, right? What we love to do, and climb. Not many of us do any climbing anymore, but we are runners. And unfortunately, the sedentary lifestyle that we live in really leads to de-evolving of this muscle. And then with age and with the aging process, this is usually the first muscle to go. So glute strengthening can be difficult, especially if you've tried doing squats, you've tried deadlifts, and you just feel like your glutes aren't any stronger and or you keep getting injured. Then what you need to do is take a step back and actually teach your body how to activate this muscle again. And the best way to do that is actually this fire hydrant exercise. So this is actually a relatively new one that I've evolved in my learning process, in my career journey, in working with clients who struggle with this issue. And the literature supports it. And I can tell you firsthand experience. And then I can tell you the athletes that we work with, how much they say, wow, like I actually feel my glutes now when I'm running. And it's such a simple exercise, like anyone can do it. So that is going to be super helpful for you to activate your glutes, especially if you have a history of low back pain, especially if you have a history of hip impingement or FAI, femoral acetabular impingement syndrome. I used to have that, and well, I still do have that, and I had a labral tear from that, and that's actually how I started my running journey, was after my surgery to repair my torn labrum and cartilage in my hip, but that's a story for another day. Or if you have patellofemoral pain syndrome, or what we call runner's knee, it will be especially helpful for you to find this muscle, activate it, and start to strengthen it. So those are why I did include this muscle, and really, it's going to start with the hips, because the hips don't lie. So the first exercise is going to be that glute max exercise, the fire hydrant. The second exercise is going to be other hip muscles, which are deeper than the glute max. And these are our deep hip rotator muscles. So the biggest muscle is the piriformis muscle. You guys might have heard about it. And the best way to activate this is really the clamshell exercise. The clamshell technically is going to get glute max. It's going to get your deep hip rotators as well as that side hip muscle, your gluteus medius muscle, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. This exercise is going to be especially important for those of you with knee pain. So whether it is IT band syndrome, when you start doing long runs above 12 miles and you get that sharp stabbing pain on the outside of your knee, or those of you who struggle with kneecap pain, or what we call runner's knee, where it's that general achy, diffuse pain that hurts when you run, when you go up and down stairs, or when you do squats. This exercise is going to be extremely helpful for you because it actually corrects the track instead of the train. So here's the analogy. The track is going to be your femur bone. So that's the longest bone that we have in our body, your thigh bone, right? The train is going to be your kneecap, and your kneecap sits on the track and it tracks this way. If you get irritation of the cartilage underneath the kneecap, that is what we call patellofemoral pain, right? You're having that general diffuse achy pain, feel stiff on the front of your kneecap area. In order to correct that, we need to actually correct the mechanics of the track, the femur bone. Where does that start? With the muscles up at the hip. So that is actually the treatment for that condition, but it's also critical in preventing faulty running form with your lower leg rotating in too much, where your kneecap is pointed inward when you run. So strengthening this external rotator muscle is going to be important if you have knee pain. It's also going to be important for those of you who have struggled with inside of the arch pain, posterior tibial tendon pain, as well as Achilles tendon pain. So that's the second exercise. Third exercise is going to be hip abduction against the wall, or as I like to call it, the humbler exercise. This is going to be the best way to isolate our most important running muscle, which I deem as the most important running muscle, is your gluteus medius muscle, or your side hip muscle. Why is it the most important running muscle? Is because we're always on one leg when we run, and the most common running form fault that I see by far in all the gait analysis videos that I look at with my clients is what we call a hip drop, where you're standing on one leg, the opposite side is dropping down. When that opposite hip drops down, due to weakness of your outside hip muscles or inability to actually use them when you're running, then you get a collapsing pattern down below, which leads to knee pain, leads to ankle pain, leads to Achilles pain, and even plantar fasciitis pain down at the foot from that overpronation or collapsing while you're running. So if you can activate your gluteus medius muscle and then strengthen it, you will eliminate that hip drop, your running form will improve, and it will keep you healthy. So that's the third exercise. Fourth exercise is going to now start to address the back part of the leg. And it is going to be the single best hamstring exercise that I can give you as a runner. It's the elevated single leg bridge hamstring exercise. And the reason why I deem this as the best place to start to strengthen your hamstring muscles is because the hamstrings will be functioning as a hip extensor. So it's going to be working more at the hip. It's also going to work on loading your upper hamstring tendon to help prevent the dreaded PHT or proximal hamstring tendon pain, upper hamstring tendon pain that is so common in especially the marathoners that we see in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And especially those who have been running for 15, 20, 30 years. This is a very common problem that I do see. Half of the athletes I work with have this condition. Prevention is the key. So if you are an aging runner and you've been doing it a long time, you'll want to strengthen these muscles in order to tolerate the demands that running offers to prevent that dreaded PHT condition, as well as actually strength training your hamstring muscles on one leg. So that's why we do the single leg bridge version versus like your standard bridges you might have done in rehab in a PT clinic somewhere. This is going to be a lot better. It's going to be a lot harder. We're going to actually control the eccentric portion. So the lowering portion as you do it, you're going to feel your glutes working. You're going to load that upper hamstring tendon, and you're going to be working your hamstrings. So this is a great starting point that I like to work with my runners on strengthening their hamstrings, hence why it is in my top 7. All right, exercise number 5 is going to be the short foot deep foot exercise, or the short foot exercise. And this is the single best foot stabilization exercise we can do as runners. Foot health is extremely important for us as runners. We are lots of miles on our feet take a pounding, and unfortunately the foot and ankle is really the most common injured area as runners, whether it's plantar fasciitis, bunion pain, posterior tibial tendon pain, peroneal tendon pain, Achilles tendon pain. There's a lot. Metatarsalgia. Morton's neuroma. Shall I continue? So if you've had any of those, it is going to be beneficial for you to actually activate and then begin to strengthen your deep foot muscles. So these are the small little guys that are underneath our foot and help support our arch. It's going to be especially important for those of you who wear custom foot orthotics, those of you who wear stability running shoes. You need to learn how to activate these muscles. I was a custom foot orthotic wearer for 12 years. I've talked about this many times on the show before. My deep foot muscles did not know how to work. I literally could not separate my toes. It took me really weeks and months to learn, send the signals from my brain to those muscles. And now I am happy to report that I can actually activate these muscles, and actually have been told by my specific PT that I actually have some really good muscle mass in the bottom of my foot. So I was like, that was a huge win for me, because I've been working on this for years now. And I've been incorporating this short foot exercise into any single leg strengthening exercise that I do as a progression. But we need to learn how to do it first. again, that's the whole purpose of the series, to activate those muscles. So that's the fifth exercise. And the other instance I want to mention is it is very common for us as runners, and I see so many runners like this, who do not push off of their big toe when they're running. They go off to the side, and you'll be able to tell this if you see a lot of wearing pattern in the top part of your running shoe. So on the outside part, it's normal to have the outside part in the back of the shoe in the heel counter. But if you're seeing in the forefoot that the outside part of your shoe is wearing off before the inside part, that is not a good thing. That means you are not pushing off a nice rigid lever. You're not driving your big toe down into the ground. The other thing that you will see with this is those of you who get callus formation on the inside of your big toe. So you've got this whopping callus on the inside of your big toe. You have a huge bunion. It is because when you're pushing off, your toe is going that way because you're not driving your big toe into the ground. It's going outward. And this exercise is going to be extremely helpful if that is you. All right. So that was kind of the rationale in why I included this exercise, that all runners should be able to do this. Number 6, calf raise with a ball squeeze. And for those of you who are listening to this right now, as long as you're not driving, if you're in the middle of a run, you know what? Take a little break right now. I want you to take a break, and you're going to stand on one leg, and I'm going to see, or you're going to see, how many single leg calf raises can you do? Rising up on the ball of your big toe, slowly coming down, and keeping your knee totally straight. So you don't want to bend your knee. Those of you who are bending your knee as you're doing this, it's usually due to weakness in your calf muscle. See how many of those you can do. It's going to be hard pressed that many of you can actually do 25 of these, but that is actually what we need to do as runners to maintain our health. Our calf muscles are contracting at a greater percentage than any other muscle group in our body when we run at our easy conversational pace, our recovery runs, right? So at least 80% of our runs should be at that pace, which means our calf muscles are working a lot. And if you have weak calf muscles, you're going to get compensations up the chain or increased stress to your tendons. And that's where Achilles tendon pain comes into the play. And even up the chain, it is a risk factor for getting runner's knee or patellofemoral pain that I mentioned earlier. So what is the best calf exercise that I can give you as a runner? It is this calf raise with a ball squeeze. And the reason why this is because you're not only going to strengthen your calf muscles, but you're going to also strengthen some important ankle stabilizers. So the posterior tibial tendon, your peroneal muscles by driving your big toe down into the ground, as well, because you're squeezing this ball, your deep foot muscles when you're in that plantar flex position up on the ball of your toe. So this is kind of my go-to to really help someone find their foot and ankle stability. So if you've had a history of ankle sprains and you've rolled your ankle many times, this exercise will help you. If you've had a history of peroneal tendon pain, posterior tibial tendon pain, Achilles pain, plantar fasciitis, this exercise would help you. So obviously, if you struggle with those in the past, we want to prevent it from coming back. But for those who are looking to stay healthy as they age, then prevention is the best medicine. Last, but certainly not least, is going to be an exercise that focuses on the quad muscles. So this is going to be our first functional-based movement in this, I like to call this level 1 strength routine for runners. And it's kind of like bridging the gap to the next phase of how we strength train as runners. And it's going to be the front step up quadricep exercise, where we're really going to be focusing on isolating the quad muscle, doing one leg at a time. So if you guys envision a step in front of you, a box, a plyo box, a bench, and you're going to put your foot up on it and you're going to step up onto the bench, up onto the step, but you're going to really focus on one side at a time. A lot of times you'll see people do this like alternating legs. I don't feel like you get the strength training benefit to doing that exercise, as well as really focusing on the quality of this exercise. As I mentioned before, for those of you with knee pain, this will be extremely important because you will focus on the quality and your form to make sure that kneecap is tracking over your second toe and not going in. So if you collapse when you run, most likely you do this exercise, your kneecap's going to go inside your second toe. So it's going to either track over your big toe, or it's even going to track like on the inside of your foot, which is not good. So this is a great way to teach your body how to contract your quads. You're also getting some nice glutes that are working as well, but also controlling those hip muscles that we did before. So the rotators, the abductors, it's kind of teaching your body how to use multiple muscles. But I do like to do this in a fashion where you squeeze the quads at the top, you get a good quad squeeze, and then you slowly lower down so you get that good eccentric control of the quad muscle. So this is going to be especially important for those with runner's knee, IT band pain, or if you are training for a downhill race. So those rebel races, or those of you running Boston and you've heard like your quads are going to be like shot. This is going to be important for you. All right. So just doing kind of that knee extension quad machine in the gym, or just doing squats with two legs will not meet the goals that this single leg quad based exercise will. So coming up next, guys, I'm going to share with you when is the time you should implement this routine and workout into your weekly training. And I know all of you are like busy, you got a lot going on with your schedule. So I really want to talk about when you should be doing this. But before I do that, if like this training has been eye-opening to you and you're surprised that there are specific exercises that you should be doing as a runner, and maybe the other strength routines that you've done in the past don't sound like anything like this, like we need to get this word out to more runners like you so we can stay healthy, we can continue getting stronger, continue getting faster, right? Run some races if you like to do races, get some more medals. And one way we could do that is by you simply like hitting the like button if you're listening to the video version of this, and it will just allow me to continue creating content like this for you so you can continue hitting your running goals and enjoying lifelong injury-free running. It'd mean the world to me, honestly, if you can do that. So hit the like button, please, and thank you. Now, when should you perform this 25-minute strength routine for running? Number one, if you've never done strength training for runners before. So maybe you've done the standard gym machine circuit, you've done the standard boot camp class. This is going to teach you how to activate your run-specific muscles, not just either, sit down in a machine and work your muscle groups or just do functional movement patterns. This is going to help isolate those muscles. Number two, if you're currently dealing with an injury, so maybe you're getting rehabbed by a medical practitioner, I would just caution you to make sure that none of these exercises actually increase your specific pain that you're currently rehabbing. Typically, honestly, they probably won't, as these are usually a lot of the rehab-specific exercises that I give to a lot of my clients who are currently dealing with any of those common running-related injuries that we spoke about before. But just putting that disclaimer out there, make sure they're not increasing your specific pain. Number three, if you are currently, or recently, I should say, recovered from an injury. So maybe you've been discharged from PT and you're looking to bridge that gap back into training and back into your previous strength training program. This is a great place to bridge that gap. You can't just do we'll call them quote unquote PT exercises or rehab exercises that your PT gave you and do that forever. Right? Like that is not going to keep you healthy. So this is a great bridge. We bridged the gap from kind of a recent injury. And now we're going to get into the next level of strengthening exercise, the next level of strength workout for runners. Number four, if you're starting to feel an ache, tightness, a niggle, or you're just a little concerned, like, hey, I don't want this to turn into a full-blown injury, then this is a great time to pull this workout out and actually still activate your run-specific muscles, but you're doing it in a little bit more conservative fashion where it's going to be like, do no harm, right? You're not really going to do any damage to that area. And it just really, it's kind of like the safe bet, right? If we're really worried about, I don't want this to turn into an injury, and you're not working with one of the coaches on our Spark Healthy Runner team, you can't ask him that question. You can't text your running PT like my athletes can, then this would be a good reason to pull this workout out. And then lastly, number 5 is during peak weeks of your training cycle and or taper time. So this has been super helpful for the clients that I'm working with right now, especially I actually just programmed this into my athlete, Diana, who is getting ready for the Disneyland half marathon. As we're kind of taking her strength down, I want her to feel fresh, like going into the race, right? So this is really going to be helpful to, number 1, keep you healthy during peak weeks. So when your running volume is the highest, when your long runs are the longest, when your speed workouts are the hardest, this is a great time to pull this workout out. So you're not overloading the body with everything all at once, especially if this is your first time doing those hardest speed sessions and whatever training plan that you're using, or if you're fairly new to strength training, right? So this is a great, again, do no harm, but still activate your muscles. And then I love this during taper time because we're really decreasing the load on the body, which is the whole purpose of tapering, right? So if we think about the marathon, we want to taper down 2 to 3 weeks before your race in terms of your mileage, in terms of your effort, the quality of those runs, but then also strength training. So usually I'll take, if I'm working with an athlete, they're, whatever they're doing right now for strength training, and then we'll kind of downgrade this to this workout. And then we'll take strength training all out, a week or 2 before the marathon, depending upon the athlete. And that is so your body can fully recover, feel fresh when they get to the start line. So that's been like super helpful for the athletes that I've been working with. I think it'll be super helpful for you to consider this. So I guess my main thing for you to take home is that there are a variety of reasons why you would do this workout. I'm not saying it's the only workout that you ever need to do. I really want to phrase this as this is the workout that every runner needs to have in their arsenal. So if you're beginning and you've never done strength training before, this is where you start. But if you're advanced and you've done many different strength workouts, routines before, and you've gotten different exercises, there's still a place for this, especially if you've never really focused on these run-specific muscles that I mentioned, or you really want a safe routine for you to perform during peak weeks of training and or taper time. It's going to be super helpful for you to maintain the activation of your run-specific muscles, so you're not just going from like strength training to no strength training for 2 to 3 weeks before a marathon, and now you're feeling kind of flat before your race, right? So we want to kind of maintain the activation so you're not feeling flat, but also protect your body. So hopefully that makes sense, and that's why I'm like so excited about this routine. I'm like super honestly happy with it. It's been something that's been going on in my head for literally years. And it's like, if I only had 7 exercises to give a runner, what would they be? They would be this. If you only had 25 minutes to do strength training, this is what I would recommend for you. All right. So just recapping, guys, we covered why runners need to do a 25-minute strength routine for running. We talked about this specific exercise and why I did include each of these exercises and what muscle groups that you're working with each of the exercises, whether it's the fire hydrant, the clamshell, that humbler exercise, the elevated single leg bridge, good for the hamstrings, and then 3 standing exercises. So with your foot on the ground, which is important because when we run, our foot's on the ground, right? And really getting to, a lot of strength routines aren't going to tell you about the short foot, right? They're not going to tell you to do a calf raise with a ball squeeze because we're going to actually improve your ankle stability and your foot stability while strengthening your calf muscles. And the front step up to really work on form, your quads, that was the 7th exercise we covered. And then we really talked about like when we should be pulling this routine out within our training cycles. And if you need clarity and focus on how to integrate like strength training exercises like these and others, like the necessary progressions that I mentioned earlier, into your run, strength, or training plan, or you have like special considerations. So maybe you've had a previous surgery, whether it's a bunion surgery or a meniscal tear. Maybe you have chronic back pain, side joint pain. Maybe you have a stubborn, like reoccurring injury that keeps coming back. You keep needing to go to rehab, keep needing to go to your chiro. Then a customized plan that focuses on your specific problem areas would be the best. And that's exactly what we do with our Spark Healthy Runner coaching program, where we teach you how to grow as a runner to not only crush your running goal, but avoid the feeling of feeling like frustrated because you either got injured or you're not getting any faster. And we act as your guide in mastering the 6 steps to growing in your running journey that I mentioned earlier: mindset, strength training, structured run plan, nutrition, recovery, race strategy. And when you get the structure to execute these 6 key steps in your running journey, you'll not only feel more confident in getting stronger and faster, but you'll stay healthy, enjoy the process of running again, and crush some races along the way. And I just love when we can provide clarity to the athletes that we work with and how much of a stress relief that is for you when we can offload that for you and be able to take care. It's like amazing the feeling that our athletes feel when that's been offloaded to them, and now they know where they need to focus. And that's where the growth happens, even if we're getting older. So you can learn more about our Spark Healthy Runner coaching program. Schedule a call with me to learn more, and we'll chat, see if you're a good fit. Go to learn.sparkhealthyrunner.com/coaching. And don't forget to grab your freebie, the Strong Glute Guide that I have for you, by clicking the link within the show notes, and you'll get the full instructional video of those top 7 exercises that I mentioned in like real time. Like I will literally talk you through the workout. Like I'm going to be right there with you. And I can't wait for you guys to try this workout. Like I said, it's been years in the making. If you try the workout and you like it, like shoot me a message on Instagram at Spark Healthy Runner. Let me know how you made out, what you think of the routine. As always, let's maintain a strong mind, a strong body, and let's just keep on running. Until next time.